The events in today's movie will be summarized in just a few moments. Let's watch the entire episode together to understand everything from beginning to end.
You! Huh? What do you want? Goodbye. No!
On a beautiful day, the young man Tony was laughing with delight while watching some episodes on his computer.
Shoot it!
Meanwhile, a gang leader named Dr. Lee and his two henchmen happily walked into the internet cafe where Tony was watching.
Hey, come on, let's go. Get out. The other side, come on.
Tony found them quite noisy, but didn't pay much attention and continued watching his movie. Tony's expression began to change. He looked over and saw the three of them laughing and talking loudly.
Hey, Sonny! Wow. Shoot it! Hey, the other side, come on!
Annoyed, Tony stood up and walked over to see what they were doing that was so loud. Tony only wanted to remind them to keep it down, but Dr. Lee and his henchmen rudely dismissed him.
Hey, you! What is this? Come on! All right.
Frustrated, Tony returned to his seat. Suddenly, lightning bolts appeared around Dr. Lee and his henchmen. Tony was also caught in the storm. In a flash, they all disappeared from the internet cafe. Tony reappeared as a real SWAT officer, which made him extremely excited. The two henchmen also appeared and became soldiers.
Oh no! Hey!
They were thrilled to see colorful masks. And the main character who couldn't be missing, Dr. Lee the boss. He saw the soldiers and called them over. Tony noticed that the guys who had argued with him at the internet cafe were now here too. A gun had appeared in Tony's hand. The two soldiers had already put on their masks, and they, along with Dr. Lee, moved towards the nearby weapons. Tony moved closer to the criminals. He loaded his gun and aimed at the soldiers and the boss. The boss and the soldiers started to leave. Tony saw this and opened fire. Tony charged forward, shooting continuously at the boss, making them dodge quickly.
It's you! Yes!
One soldier stood up and returned fire at the SWAT officer. Dr. Lee and the other soldier joined forces to shoot at Tony. Tony quickly fled. Dr. Lee and the two soldiers pursued him. Dr. Lee and his men split up to search for the SWAT officer. Tony hid behind a wooden plank, observing everything. Without fear, he jumped out and shot at a soldier. Dr. Lee rushed over to assist his henchman and fired back at Tony. Together, they shot wildly at the SWAT officer, forcing him to retreat again. While running, Tony spotted a soldier and shot at him. The soldier wasn't afraid and returned fire. Tony used another gun and killed the soldier. He then approached the soldier and swapped weapons. Dr. Lee and the remaining soldiers saw their comrade lying motionless and ran over to check. Tony quietly walked away but was soon discovered by Dr. Lee, forcing him to flee quickly. Tony saw a frying pan hanging on the wall and quickly grabbed it. Tony noticed the soldier approaching, prepared himself, and raised the frying pan. The frying pan hit the soldier square in the face, knocking him to the ground. Dr. Lee reached the house and saw SWAT officer Tony, so he fired his gun. Another frying pan blow hit the soldier in the face. Tony took his gun and hid behind the door. The soldier, undeterred, reached for the frying pan. But soon after, the remaining soldier was killed by Tony. Dr. Lee was now alone. He fired wildly at Tony, forcing him to flee. Dr. Lee slowly and cautiously searched for the SWAT officer. Seeing this, Tony suddenly rushed out and shot the boss, wounding him. Tony approached and restrained Dr. Lee. Without hesitation, the SWAT officer shot the boss dead. In a flash, the gang leader and his two henchmen were back at the internet cafe. They were annoyed because they had lost their game. But Tony, on the other hand, was beaming with a big smile. Dr. Lee and his two henchmen approached Tony and grabbed him by the collar. Tony drew his gun and threatened them.
You guys, what do you want? Huh? Hey, sir.
The gang leader, Dr. Lee, and his two henchmen, now frightened, quickly left. Tony finally sighed in relief. Tony happily resumed watching the movie he had left unfinished.